Maris is going to start from that corner there. All you need to do is just tell us who you are, where you're coming from. Don't talk about the war. Don't talk anything else now. Just your name. Straight to the point. So if you don't mind, a very quick introduction from that end, and then we will start officially in 4 minutes. Please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Caleb Odhiambo, the director for Smallholder Africa.
Director for what?
Smallholder Africa.
Smallholder Africa. Thank you, sir. Press the mic.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Arthur Mwiruri. I work with Smallholder Africa as the executive director.
Smallholder Africa. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Lawrence Githinji. I work with BOC Kenya.
All right, Lawrence, I'm going to ask you to pause there because I have been behind. I come from the media side, and this gentleman want to capture you looking very nice. All right, so if you don't mind, when the introduction is happening, just stand so that they can capture you nicely. You know, yeah, I know there's pressure in the world, but not. Go ahead, sir. Yes.
Anyone with a comb? Yeah. My name is Lawrence Githinji. I'm Managing Director, BOC Kenya PLC. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, sir, for being here.
My name is Bansi Kaleche. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Freedom Limited, which does construction.
Wow. Welcome.
My name is Michelle Njoroge, and I am the founder and CEO of Virtuous Life.
Welcome. Virtuous Life.
Hello, my name is Anne Mora, CEO of Deloitte East Africa.
Welcome, Anne. Please pass it.
Hi everyone, my name is Will Wanyonyi, the Business Development Lead at Seven Skies Information and Research Limited. Our core business is climate risk analytics and early warning systems. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. You must have been a marketer. I like that. Just go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Abna Maina, Executive Assistant to the Managing Director, Pontypridd.
Okay. Welcome, sir. Pass the mic here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Millicent Okumu, Agriflex Limited. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Lynn Bithe, Agriflex Limited.
Excellent. We need you a lot. It's food.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Cynthia Moshiri. I head the legal, HR, and advocacy function at Kenya Bankers Association.
Hi, I'm Raymond Molenje. I'm the CEO of Kenya Bankers Association. We bring all banks in Kenya together, and our aim is to ensure that the economy is vibrant, households and businesses are doing well, and very keen on ensuring that we are creating employment. So happy to join this conversation to be able to see how we achieve that agenda. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You ensure that households are doing well. We shall be talking about that. Thank you. Let's proceed on.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Katrina Inglesby, and I'm the Ambassador of Ireland here in Kenya. So I'm very interested to listen and learn this afternoon. Thanks.
Welcome, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Benta Awur, Head of Business Operations, Oxfam in Kenya. Thank you.
Welcome, Benta.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Anthony Wenaina from Pontypridd Logistics. We move cargo around East Africa.
Wow. Thank you so much. This mic is a neutralizer. Go ahead.
There is I speak to this.
Yeah, yes, that's true.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Abdi Mohammed. I'm the Chief Executive of ABSA and the Chair of the UN Global Compact Kenya chapter. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Martin Ochieng. I work for Sasini PLC. Abdi took over from me, so he's doing a good job. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, Martin.
Evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Judy Njino, Executive Director of the Global Compact Network Kenya. Very happy to host each and every one of you. Thank you for making it on time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Massimo Gore, CEO of Adept Technologies Limited. We are an IT and business process outsourcing company. Thank you.
Welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Emmanuel Zai. I'm the chairman of the Kenya Vision 2030 board. My first time here, and really glad that we could finally do this. That Vision 2030 and the UN in the same room in Nairobi. This is good.
Yeah. Welcome, sir. Vision 2030. How many more years to go? I'm just checking. I'm just counting. Awesome.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Beverly Musili from Oxfam, Kenya. My work focuses on accountable governance, tax justice, economic justice, and inequality. I'm also one of the authors that authored the Inequality report. I must say, when we were developing the report, I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined that we'd be having this conversation with private sector. That's because we're always fighting private sector and telling you to pay more in taxes. So I'm very excited to have you all here. I'm also very intrigued that we all found concurrence on the findings of the report and that we'll continue working towards inequality reduction. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Okay, press the mic.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Gladys Ominde, and I work as the private sector lead at Oxfam in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
That's much better, thank you. My name is Edwin Bilech. I work at Oxfam Kenya. Leading in the interim, I'm leading the accountable governance pillar, working very closely with Beverly. I want to echo what you said. Do you have teachers here before who are teachers? Just like echoing what the head teacher said, or teacher on duty. So I'm just echoing what Beverly has said. Glad to be here. Same here, interacted with the Global Compact before team, and I'm very happy to be here, also interacting again in the same space.
Thank you.
Good evening to you all. My name is Hannah Wangombe. I'm the Natural Resources Program Lead. We look at the oil, gas, and mining sector, climate justice, and the just energy transition. And maybe to add that this is our inaugural co-hosting with the UN Global Compact. We've just been onboarded, so it's a great milestone for us. Asante.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm a familiar face. My name is Stephen Kimenya, and I lead the programs team at Global Compact. Karibuni nyote.
I see a new...
Yes, there's one person we skipped. It's better to say it that way.
Good evening, everyone. Apologies for coming very early. Yeah, my name is Tede Wanyama. I work with Allied Logistics Limited. We provide logistics services in the world, focusing on air, ocean. We do customs brokerage, warehousing, and we also do inland transport. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And finally, just let us know your name.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm not so lucky to rest. So my name is Sakwa Masai from the Digital Opportunity Trust. I serve as the Africa Business Development Manager. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And the whole of the mic is...
Damaris Wekulu, the Communications and Marketing Manager at UN Global Compact.
Thank you so much. My name is Maina Chege. I am a business journalist, and I love conversations that really also try as much as possible to give us a way forward as a nation, especially for today's conversation. And I want us to look at the screens. Look at it. Bridging the gap. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about bridging the divide, actually. It means then there's a divide. And the divide today is going to be quite a sensitive one. And the first rule of the game is to say that this is a safe environment. just to prepare Raymond in advance, even as you're trying to make households work better. This is a safe environment. We'll talk about everything, everyone. In as much as we see these cameras, everything is for consumption within the global compact environment. So feel free to say it as it comes. The second thing is there is this quiet contradiction that we see. And allow me to say this. I'll give a practical example. Most of the times when we're driving on our way homes, especially in the morning, if you drive early, there will always be other people who are not walking to their workplaces because they want to, but it's because they are forced to, just to make ends meet, is it? I'm just driving conversations to the practical way so that you don't say this divide, where is it? They would have also loved to be I don't know whether it's back left or front left. Maybe I should have asked someone to tell me where you sit, right? But anyway, they would also want or even wish to do that. Or probably, if some of them may not see that future coming in, they are probably doing their very best, getting some loans from Raymond to hopefully educate their children so that they can also one day enjoy that. It's an inspiration that we have of so many households today. And that's the reality of the matter. In fact, there was a conversation I was listening to about black tax. You've heard of it? Because a lot of our parents, maybe you're not one of them, but a lot of them that was their investment. And hoping that one day these children will take care of them. But sadly, most of them are still walking as their children as well are joining them on the same path. It's a silent contradiction that we need to address today. And so that's the essence of it. And you shall answer some questions so that we don't have this tension that can build up to something else that we not want to see coming forth. So ladies and gentlemen, one of the most important questions I thought we could address this evening is, what does it truly mean to lead, to build, and to succeed in an economy where prosperity is not shared? In fact, as I was reading that report, because I had the privilege of looking at it, I was shocked to hear a handful of people, in fact, a handful compared to the 50 million. It's not even doesn't qualify to be a handful, right? It's like a drop in the ocean. Maybe that could work, right? If they can own more than 70% of the wealth in this country, then there should be a question of how do we ensure that we don't protect them so much, but we distribute as well to others and they can feel it. It's tough, it's the reality, and we have to address it. So allow me at this moment to just implore to you that can we openly have that discussion? Because, back in the days when, remember those days when HIV was found out? There were some scary things that were there. But there was one statement that if you're not infected, you're what? Affected. Oh, that's the reality as well down here with money. Yeah, you may not feel it right now, but you're affected. Because chances are you may have to raise the walls around your compound higher, put more electricity and hope that KPLC does not go off one day. I'm just saying, there's so many things you could have to do. But yes, it's our society and solutions must be birthed. And that's why we're here to speak. Allow me at this moment to invite Judin Gino, the Executive Director, Global Compact Network Kenya, to kindly come and give us some opening brief remarks as we head to our discussions and more remarks as well. Karibu sana, Judy. Please put your hands together. I hope I didn't scare the mood. Welcome.
Yes, thank you, Maina. I think you've done a fairly good job to kick us off. So good evening, everybody. Yeah, so allow me to start first by acknowledging the presence of our board. We have our chair here, Mr. Abdi Mohammed, Chief Executive and Managing Director, Absa Bank Kenya. We also have our immediate former board chair, Mr. Martin Ochieng, Group Managing Director, Sasini PLC. Our partners at Oxfam Kenya, thank you very much for this timely collaboration to bring together this discussion. We have members of the Diplomatic Corps. Ambassador, we recognize your present. We also have development partners in the room. And to all the business leaders who've made it to be with us this evening. So good afternoon once again. So on behalf of the Global Compact, it's indeed our pleasure to convene this business leaders dialogue, which we are very proud to host together with Oxfam here in Kenya. Many of you have been part of our business leadership series that we aim to convene quarterly, bringing together chief executive officers from the private sector, but also from within the UN Global Compact movement. And this platform has been curated to bring you an opportunity to come together with your peers to discuss issues that are pertinent to our Kenyan economy. And so this quarterly series has been made available to you to provide you an opportunity to exchange perspectives, to shape solutions collectively, and to drive collective action on issues critical to Kenya's sustainable development. And so this particular convening today brings us together to ponder on a critical question, which is, what does responsible business leadership look like in an increasingly unequal economy? So as you've heard from Maina, today's conversation will call for leadership introspection, candor, so we hope we will be able to have open discussions. And of course, we guarantee that this is a safe space for all of us to discuss freely and to reflect on our individual and collective roles. And we hope that we will also leave this room with the moral courage to change and to challenge the status quo. So many of you sitting here might wonder why this topic on inequality matters to the business community. And much of the discussion around inequality is often framed as a policy or a social issue. Yet, increasingly, we are seeing it becoming a material business risk, but also an opportunity that's affecting demand, talent retention, social cohesion, and the operating environment within which companies must compete and grow. And so a number of you here today are participants or signatories to the UN Global Compact. And so for us at the Global Compact, which of course is a special initiative of the UN Secretary General, our mission is very clear. We are looking to mobilize business to transform sustainability ambition into action at the scale the world demands. We convene 25,000 signatories spread across 100 countries, but we are also a convener of the largest footprint of businesses here in Africa, as well as the Middle East region, comprising of 300 signatories that have signed up to advance principles on human rights, labor standards, environmental conservation, as well as anti-corruption. So these principles that you all have signed speak directly to how business must operate, how value is created, and how you will manage your risks. And at their core, they are a call to companies to ensure that business growth is aligned with dignity, fairness, and long-term sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, and you will hear from Oxfam later in the program, it is notable that Kenya has made commendable economic progress with growth across key sectors of our economy. We've also registered increased economic activity, increased integration into regional and global markets. We are, of course, positioned as one of the leading regions of the continent, yet questions remain about how broadly these gains are being shared. Are we seeing this growth translate into broad-based opportunity? Are we really? I think those are the questions we would like to reflect on and answer as we leave this room today. So this brings us to a deeper reflection on the evolving relationship between business and society and what is expected of business leadership today. And that's why we have convened you at your level to really reflect and to take back the opportunities that you can drive to end inequality in Kenya today. So our conversation really is not about compliance or philanthropy, as we always, frame business response when it comes to challenges such as inequality. The space today is available for us to have honest and strategic reflections on the implications of inequality for business and the leadership decisions that may be required going forward. The value we see in this room lies in our collective experience and the perspectives we will bring to the discussions. We therefore encourage an open and candid conversation, and we hope that you will ground this dialogue in practical realities, because many of us are already doing something within the boundaries of our businesses. But we are also looking at forward-looking opportunities to identify where business leadership can shape more resilient and inclusive outcomes for Kenya. And so to help ground this discussion and this conversation from a business leadership perspective, because that is how we are positioning this conversation today, it is my pleasure to invite our keynote speaker, Mr. Abdi Mohamed, the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Absa Bank, who happens to also be our board chair for the Global Compact Network Kenya, to deliver the opening address and to welcome you to the conversation today on how we can bridge the divide on the rising inequalities in Kenya. I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Judy. You know, when Maina was doing the introductions, he told everyone to just say their name. And I thought it's only in Kenya where such an instruction is required. I was at an event where somebody was asked to do the vote of thanks. And when he came up to the stage, he actually produced a speech from the coat pocket and spoke for quite a while. Our partners from Oxfam, I think there is a big contingent here today. My fellow business leaders from the private sector, Chairman of Vision 2030, Chair Emeritus of the Global Compact, Ambassador. I have the privilege of seeing you twice in a short while. Welcome, it's really good to have you. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this Business Leaders Dialogue hosted by the Global Compact Network Kenya and Oxfam. This convening is part of our leadership series, which brings together senior business leaders to engage on the most pressing challenges shaping our economies and societies, and to identify practical pathways for collective action. And really this particular topic of today is as pressing as it gets. Today's dialogue is anchored in the theme Bridging the Divide, redefining private sector's social contract for a resilient Kenya. And I believe this would apply to the region, to the world really. Drawing from Oxfam's latest Inequality report, which highlights the widening gaps in income, opportunity, and access. At a time when inequality is increasingly shaping social and economic outcomes, the conversation invites us and all of us to reflect on the role of business, not only as an engine of growth, but as a key actor in building a more inclusive and equitable growth as well. You know, it's easy to say, and we've been saying this in many forums, Kenya has sustainably grown 5% year on year. I think you can apply the same to the entire region of East Africa. You can apply the same lens to Africa. But really the question is, which sectors, which areas, which income levels are driving this growth, and to whose benefit? I think that is the critical question. As business leaders, we are not only observing the shifts. You know, we are not just observers from a distance. We are experiencing them directly. in the people that we work with, in our markets, in our workforce, and increasingly in our performance, financial performance. The evidence before us is quite sobering. And the statistics here will be shared later in the report that are specific to Kenya. But I think you could expand this conversation to any region of the world. And the fact that fewer and fewer people are holding more of the wealth and are benefiting more and are getting more of the opportunity, more of the access, is really a critical subject that we all need to talk about. Closely linked to this conversation is also the number of people that continue to fall into poverty and the increasing rate of poverty in the world. Particularly what is defined as extreme poverty, people who cannot, who live on less than $1 a day. This is not simply a humanitarian crisis, it's a market failure with direct commercial consequences. For us in the business world, it has impact that is not only social, but commercial and financial as well. When nearly half of your potential customers live in poverty, you are operating in a structurally constrained market. And there is a lot of recent analysis based on World Bank reports that shows this wealth concentration continues to shrink what we call the addressable market, and therefore the opportunity for further economic growth. So the impact is actually circular. It's not just social, it impacts business opportunities, our ability to grow, and ultimately, if not addressed, affects GDP growth in its entirety. For those of us in the financial services, we see this through erosion of purchasing power, impact on ability to purchase goods, performance and credit risk from a banking sector perspective. There is also what is known as the working, poor, and those are people in the informal sector who do not have job security, who operate on very low incomes, and this forms a very significant percentage of the so-called working population. And so for us, we look at it from a strategic risk perspective. It manifests itself through risks of social unrest, and across the world we've seen that. And that continuous inequality drives up these risks, drives up the cost of capital, reduces access to capital, and therefore is a justice question that we need to continue addressing. The strength of our markets depends on the breadth of participation in the economy. When participation is narrow, demand is constrained and growth potential is capped across different markets. For many of us, this is already showing up in slower demand cycles, highly priced, sensitive markets, and pressure across the value chains. Research drawing on World Bank data shows that combining modest economic growth with a deliberate reduction in inequality can cut poverty by much higher multiples than growth alone as an engine without addressing the issues of equality and inequality. And this is also corroborated by IMF analysis and a number of other independent sources. Despite the structural challenges, we in the business community, we have agency and we have responsibility. And I think this is the bigger part of today's conversation, is not to talk about the problem, to admire it, but also to say, what are we doing as a business community? And there are a number of areas. One which is part of the global sustainability agenda is in the area of fair wages. I met a woman SME leader about a year ago. I think, Judy, we were in this same meeting room. And she said that in her small business, she pays fair and livable wage. And that's a policy for an SME leader. But she said, whenever I come to the large companies, yourselves, the banks, the telcos, and I try to offer my service, I think it's a cleaning company. She said, you knock me out on the basis of cost. And she said the biggest driver of her cost is the fact that she pays fair wage in her company. And I think just giving her the opportunity, and in that case we did, changes the game in terms of influencing how people are paid in this market. That is something within our control. We must ask ourselves, are the wages we pay our employees enough to live with dignity, support their families, and participate meaningfully in the economy? There is also inclusion from a value chain perspective, and ensuring that we provide a certain amount of the opportunities we have in terms of suppliers and people that do business with large companies to smaller entities that are potentially in the informal sector, and ensuring that we provide that support. And this allows us to de-risk that sector and help in the growth of the SME economy. Extending opportunities to SMEs and helping them to formalize, helping them to develop their own capability is another area that we can all participate in. But we need to be honest that business cannot do everything. We cannot by ourselves redesign the tax system, but we can influence it, and we can offer our voice and our advice to the people that deal with that directly in the public sector to ensure that we drive that agenda as well. And yet the consequences of that fiscal squeeze, if we don't address it, leads to underfunded public services such as schools, underfunding in some important systems including health and other areas that we need to ensure that we improve equality. So I'll conclude by saying that as a private sector, we are not powerless. And I have seen personally in some of the forums, and we have the CEO of the Kenya Bankers Association here, in some of the forums where we participate and where we offer our voice, that these small changes happen. And it's about ensuring that we continue, to drive that agenda and to ensure that we don't look away from what is potentially a very difficult problem in the world and in our country. There is a role for business leadership in supporting a more progressive approach to these issues, in ensuring that we have an efficient approach in backing responsible debt management and all the other elements that lead to the inequality that we see. No single actor can address these challenges alone, and effective responses require alignment between business, government, development partners, and all the stakeholders really represented here today. And the question ultimately that I want to leave you all with is, what kind of an economy are we building? Who is the economy, working for? Is it broad enough to sustain long-term growth and sustainability and trust? The report before us offers a mirror. What we see is an economy that has delivered, and I'm talking about global, regional, local, that has delivered solid GDP growth, but where inequality still remains a challenge. And it falls to all of us, the leaders in this room, to recognize that continuing down this path is not only ethically difficult, but also likely to have real commercial implications for all of us. And so I leave you with that challenge, and I look forward to the panels, the report itself, and the discussions that we'll have this evening on what is quite an important topic for all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Abdi. As the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director, ABSA Kenya, and also the Chair of the Global Compact Network Kenya. Thank you once again. Very pertinent question. What kind of an economy are we building? Thank you once again for that reminder. I think in the same breath, before we get to a panel discussion, and just to alert some of the persons who've walked in, this is a safe space. I think that's the most important to have, and we are just having a retrospective conversation on what we are doing, especially on the private sector side of things. We're going to have an executive briefing. I think you have heard from the remarks of Judy and our chair, Abdi, that they have been referring a little bit to Oxfam. And so we want to get to understand a little bit from the briefing they will give us. And we want to invite Benta Awor, the head of operations at Oxfam Kenya, to kindly come and give us that brief and much more. Then we can get to our discussions. Welcome, Benta. A round of applause to her.
Good evening. So thank you, Judy and Abdi, for setting the pace. Distinguished business executives, ambassador, fellow colleagues, partners in the room. It's a privilege to be here today to discuss our reports, the Oxfam Inequality reports, and how that leads to the conversation we have here today. So the pace has been set with our two speakers on what that looks like, linking inequality to the different business solutions or business inefficiency. We had a report launched last year, Oxfam Inequality Report. The findings from this report highlighted the basis of the crisis we currently have, and it's defined by sharp concentration of wealth alongside rising extreme poverty despite economic growth. What this report also alludes to is wealth is highly concentrated within the richest 125 Kenyans vis-a-vis our population of 42.6 million Kenyans. So that tells us that 77% of the population is also diving deep down into poverty levels. And that's what the report basically highlights. So also poverty is worsening since 2015, where we based our data on to date. We've had an additional 7 million Kenyans falling into extreme poverty. So Kenya has a 46% extreme poverty rate, and the growth that we are seeing in the economy is not translating into what we are currently seeing as shared prosperity. So the economy has grown, but 5% annually is what is being translated, and it's also not what we are seeing with the purchasing power of the different citizens we have. So from the screen, allow me to move with this. Oh, So just setting the pace. So rising inequality as a social, economic, and a business risk. So it's no longer a social risk as we have been previously framing inequality, but now we've seen it's an economic and a business risk. So what we are seeing here is social and economic impact. What this translates to is inequality in Kenya has grown. So it's created some social divide, and it's also undermining economic stability. It's affecting millions living in extreme poverty. So as I've mentioned earlier, the poverty insecurity has risen by 17 million from 2015, and this is a 71% increase. Food costs have gone higher by 50% than they were in 2020. You remember the COVID season. And in Nairobi, inflation for low-income earners was 27% higher than the upper income earners between the year 2024 and 2025. So if we look at the concentration of wealth, a small elite, the 125 elite vis-a-vis the 42.6 million Kenyans, they hold a disproportionate wealth. So this translates to limiting broad participation in economic progress and increasing systemic risks. So lastly, we have business and market risks. So what this translates to is the inequality has threatened market resilience and sustainable growth by weakening social cohesion and reducing customer participation. We see this from the report that these numbers they're no longer just about poverty, but they're about pressure on the consumer economy and the low concentration of wealth. So we find that low income households are carrying a heavier burden from this report, and this also has a heavier inflation burden than the upper income household. I guess this is because of the taxes that have been introduced and their purchasing power that continues to diminish. So what does this tell us this afternoon? And when we have this pressure and when it deepens, it does not stay at household level. It's moving directly into business performances and leadership decisions. So I guess for us here and the business leaders that are in the room, this is a pertinent question that we need to ask ourselves and interrogate. So what does this translate to in terms of human cost and economic pressure of the inequality? So what this means for us from the report is we've seen rising cost of living. As mentioned earlier, we've seen since 2020, food prices have risen by 50%. And meanwhile, the workers' income has dwindled to 11% poorer. So this is in turn straining household budgets. So the rising prices is hurting everyone, whether you are in business, whether you are employed, but they are mainly hurting the low-income households. And so this is something that as business leaders, as leaders within the different sectors, we need to be cognizant of. So worsening food insecurity in Kenya has increased by 71%. So with 17 million more people facing severe or moderate hunger, so this is between 2014 to 2024. With the drought response for this year, these numbers have increased. So we are no longer looking at 17 million, we are looking at numbers plus 20 million. Household economic struggles. So many workers, as CEO Abdi has mentioned, cannot cover rent, food. Like we are all struggling in our different areas. Some are walking long distances, as alluded by Maina, to save on money. while young graduates lack opportunities despite education. I think we have our population has the best educated young people, but they cannot get opportunities, whether it's in the formal sector or informal sector. So for us, how we look at it is the human face of inequality is the household that is constantly choosing between one basic need to the other. And then finally, economic and human impact. The pressures of the inequality has reduced household investments in future. So this weakens resilience and overall economic growth. We're just having a discussion with my colleagues about the impact of the USAID being withdrawn and what this has led to them thousands into the tens and 20,000s of households that now need to grapple with what's next for them. So when households are trapped in survival mode, resilience falls, opportunities narrow, and economy weakens with them. So that's just a food for thought for us. All right, so how is this inequality shaping our markets? Because it is. So impact on the consumer, no brainer. So we have declining purchasing power, food costs risen, and something I noticed in the supermarkets nowadays when I go to do my either weekly or monthly shopping is most of us are lining where the sales are. We are no longer brand loyal. We are going for convenience and what's on sale. If I can save 50 here, 20 there, eventually I'm hoping I've made a saving. So this translates to increased business operation risk for those brands that were termed as expensive brands. I'm sure they are having operational risk to grapple with. And then there's fragile demand. There's unpredictability in the market, complicated forecasting for the business. I can imagine the business people in the room, how this is affecting your strategies, your forecasting, and also in investment planning. So we're just trying to connect this together, that inequality is indeed not only affecting households, but now it's affecting businesses as well. Governance and market confidence. So weak governance, as alluded earlier with the different speakers, is exclusionary policies has deepened inequality. It's eroded trust and it's weakened institution and market frameworks. Finally, inequality as a market issue. Inequality has threatened economic growth by undermining consumer and institutional frameworks that are essential for sustainable business success. So this is not only a social challenge, now it's become a market reality with direct implication for growth and resilience. So almost. I hope the numbers are not making us be gloomy, but the reality must be presented as is. So why does this matter to business leadership, especially those in the room today? Inequality is no longer something businesses can observe from a distance. It's now shaping the strength of markets, the quality of the workforces, and the long-term resilience of the operating environment. So how does this now translate into what we are requesting for, or what conversations would like to see happening, if not today, but in the near future? So what is the role of